Welcome to Association Edge, brought to you by Kelly Dando Consulting. Here we share practical advice, smart strategies, and proven tips for leading boards, managing associations, and growing stronger organizations. Whether you're a board member, a volunteer, or an association professional, you'll find insights to help you lead with confidence and make an impact. This is your edge in association management. Let's get started.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Team Talk Tuesday. I'm Kelly Dando. We have Jamie with us, and we have our guest, Eric and Melissa Lesch. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So, Eric and Melissa, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Melissa Lesch. I'm with PCL Bonds. I've been in the business 13 years. I've also worked with Eric. He's been in there 17 years. So I've been around for a while now. We are strictly surety bond industry, no insurance. So that's kind of our niche. And we're based here in Texas.
My name is Eric Lesch. I'm the president and owner of PCL. And Melissa's been a great agent at PCL and a big help keeping us all in line, making sure that the clients get exactly the service they deserve. And also, she represents us a lot when it comes to the associations that we belong to. She takes a lot off of my plate, making sure that we're well represented in the industry.
Yes. And if you are from Dallas, you will see Eric and Melissa everywhere. They are
We
everywhere, which is why
try.
we were so excited to have them on our podcast. So we met with Melvin from New Orleans, and Melvin gave us insights into serving on boards. But now we want the volunteer perspective. And I could not think of a better company than PCL to tell us about volunteering. So we have just a few questions for you to find out how you guys get involved, what your associations are, because like I mentioned, I feel like you guys belong to every association. So how do you manage all of these multiple memberships? Because it is a lot. I mean, can you tell us how many you're a member of?
Oh, gosh.
Probably at least 8 to 10. Then
Holy,
that's probably on the small end of it.
Yeah, it's important, I think, to, have your industry association for what you do, like surety bonds, for instance. And then one step above that would be what we're underneath is the insurance industry. Surety bonds are under the insurance licensing. So we also have membership in insurance uh, associations. And then because we specialize in construction association, we belong to general construction associations. And then we do a lot of electrical contractors. So we belong to electrical contractor association and we do a lot of business subcontractors. So we belong to subcontractor association. So it goes from the specialized to the general, and back and forth in that space. But the main things that we're looking for is to support the industry that we're in and to support our clients and the industry that our clients are in. That's the primary goal.
Again,
so
back to
having,
the question
sorry,
about
Melissa, go
how do
ahead.
we juggle them is a lot of times we just have to see like prioritize like what is working with us right now, who's available to what. We have three in our firm, so we try to divide and conquer, but sometimes we do end up with two industry events on the same day, and that is just like it tears us up going like we wish we had two of us or three of us. And because sometimes we go to events and they want to see both of us or they want, so it's also just trying to see what's relevant right now, what the topic is, stuff like that is really determined. Can we get to this event or not?
I've got to tell the truth on this. And most of the time, every event I go to without Melissa, the question always is, where's Melissa?
Melissa, everyone
Yes.
wants to know, where's Melissa?
Where's
So,
Melissa?
what makes an association your favorite in terms of what you're getting out of it as a member? So, what do you like to see in these groups that you as a company get?
I believe that personal touch. They have the metrics. They know you've been a member. Most associations, we've been a member 30 something years. So they know that. They reach out. They said, you've been a sponsor at this event before. Let me reach out to you first and make that personal touch. Like too many times, we're so dependent on the email or a
Yeah,
text or I really want to go back to that phone call or that visit, be there, like call us, make it feel personal, make us feel like we're important. And it's not like every month or every week. It's just kind of that touch. And you'll know, that we appreciate you coming. We appreciate you being a sponsor the last few years. Are you still available? But I swear, like so many times, you just don't get that personalized phone call or
yeah.
just notifying at an event. I'm glad you're here. We appreciate you. We appreciate your sponsorship. We appreciate your time showing up, not just putting the money there, actually showing up, participating, serving.
Yeah, we sponsor so much, and,
So
there's times where people will come back. I mean, like, we sponsor something for multiple years, and then all of a sudden one year we see the event happened and went by, and for some reason it didn't end up on our calendar, and we didn't even sponsor it. And nobody called us to say, "Hey, you've sponsored this in the past. Would you like to sponsor this again?"
And to us, this is a no-brainer, like,
Of
this is
course we would
someone that
sponsor it.
always.
But if they
yeah,
don't
you just
if they
need
don't
someone to
call
ask.
us,
Yeah.
yeah, if they don't call us, if they don't text us, if they don't ask, and for some reason we miss it on it missed the email, because as you know, association emails have become a digest of many things, not
Yeah.
just a single event coming up,
Yeah.
but many, many things. And buried down in there a lot of times is something that, we care about, we want to sponsor. And we do put significant resources towards sponsoring our industry
And
associations.
I bet that's hard as an association because they get from their members. I don't want to be spammed from all these emails or certain
Mhm.
things. So y'all are trying to tailor that to the client. And we're trying to be like, wait, they missed us, or there's so much information that I can't tell. Is this an event, an in person event? Is this?
Well,
It
and
can,
you brought up a good point because Jamie, you and I struggle with this oftentimes because every member is different. And some members are like, don't call me. I don't want to talk to you. Send me an email. But then other members are like, you guys are like, no, we want to communicate. We want to talk to you. So it's hard. Jamie, don't you think that's relatively difficult to manage if you're not doing an onboarding at the start?
I mean, yes and no. I think the majority of people would prefer a personal outreach. I think it's just some people get busy or think they're too busy to take that time. But I think this is something that I think's been coming up a lot with some of the associations that we work
Yeah.
with. Like right now I am in golf tournament limbo.
Purgatory.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't gonna say purgatory. Limbo makes it a little more fun, I guess. But, we're talking renewals and the things that need to be done. Fortunately, the clients I'm working with right now are on top of it. They're reaching out to former sponsors first for renewals before they open it up to the public. And I'm like, that's such a great idea.
Yeah.
My background's in nonprofit, so I know how important those personal touches are. I think that the issue or the roadblock for this is that a lot of these people that are in associations, this is a volunteer position for them. So where do they find the time? It's really just making sure that they're able to prioritize and that they have enough people to be effective with this. You can't put it all on one person. One chapter president can't do it all.
Well, and that's why we love committees, which is actually a perfect lead into my next question for you all. Because I will say, I feel like if I call a member, they're like, great, Kelly's calling me again. Versus if Melissa calls a member, they're like, oh, yay, it's Melissa. So
Totally.
tell me how you choose committees or how you get involved in associations. What's appealing to you when you join and you give your time to that association? Because you guys give a lot of time to a lot of associations.
We both served on multiple boards in the association. We also served on committees. What I felt was helpful, and I've seen some success in other chapters and other areas, is if there's a campaign to raise money for a certain like foundation or certain event that's something that's really important to the association, they have their board members and they tackle it as a team. Like, say, everybody gets 10 names and you call those 10 names,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the same thing. It's a roadblock in some ways because some want that executive director or
Yeah.
that main person to also contact them or stop in and just knock on their door. So that's where, you're very good with metrics and stuff. Maybe those numbers, but how relevant is that going and knocking on the door or visiting? And I wouldn't say all their membership because, a lot of memberships have hundreds of people, but say like they're not up for renewal or they're up for renewal and you're not getting any communication and
Yeah.
you've tried 2 emails. Okay, that warrants like a visit to their office, or
Yeah.
you've called and it keeps on going to voicemail. Okay. And that may be out of 300, you might only have 10. So you say, I'm going to tackle that like 2 visits a day for like 2 weeks, or spread that out during the week. But I think it's those top tier ones and those ones that kind of fall off that it'd be pretty easy to retain. But I've never been like in your role or something. So I've been on the boards, I've kind of seen the dynamics, but it's that whole teamwork, the whole team engaging. Your board has to be engaged. Your board has to be participating in events and educational and just networking events. It has to encompass it all together too.
And we've done a number. I mean, a lot of times the committees that we're most involved with are going to be committees that are government affairs related.
And membership.
Membership also. My
Yeah.
parents were very involved. I'm second generation to the bond in business. My dad and mom started PCL, and they always were very involved in the associations. And it's part of why we get involved,
Exists.
as it's why we're so successful, obviously, because of the foundation they built. But it's also why we followed in their footsteps and got involved in the associations just like they did. And so that's been a big thing to us, but they were always very involved in government affairs and all the legislative stuff and what's happening, in local and state and some of the federal level as well.
So here's a question, because we have someone that's actually talking about generational differences stuff with us here soon. So you two have children that are relatively older. They're at a joining age. Do you find that they see you're joining and they will join, or do you think they have a different perspective on joining? I'm so curious about that.
They've like our daughter has been with us for events, like
Yeah.
worked a booth with me at the clay shoot. I think she realizes how important that networking is,
Okay.
how important it is who you know in the industry. Are you participating? Because the same thing, we'll go to a meeting and if there's a new member there or even existing, they'll come to us and go, we see PCL everywhere. We see your name everywhere. And we're like, okay, I guess it is working, that
Yeah.
we're out there. And a lot of times, honestly, it's like we're not necessarily making new business, but it's retaining that business. It's
Okay.
actually building and fostering the new generation of employees in those existing companies that we do have. And so I think that's huge and plays a big role that,
And our kids, I mean, at least at this point, they're not really very interested in our
bonding or
business, right?
construction.
And construction. I've tried pushing both of them towards the trades originally because I see the value in being in the trades, right? I get to see a lot of businesses as a bond agent. I get to see the financials, the success that
Yeah.
that companies are having, and
And the hard work, and it takes a lot of grit.
it does
Yeah.
take a lot of hard work, a lot of effort, but the rewards are immense from the ones that have really put the effort in and done it right. The rewards are really amazing, and the companies take great care of their employees, which
Yeah.
makes the business fun to be in.
Jamie, do you want to get to ask our most favorite question?
Yeah, time to spill some tea. Have either of you or both of you ever had to break up with an association you've been involved?
We have, and it was difficult to do. It was honestly a membership that we didn't have too many clients involved, but we had friends involved in. And it's a pretty good size organization. But we just realized that we're spread so thin and we really weren't getting that much out of it in the way of like prospecting or like I said, our friends weren't necessarily there, our clients weren't necessarily there. It seemed like they had a good mission. It just wasn't, it's like we had to prioritize where are we going to spend this time? And we let them know it's just not working for us. We believe they're doing a good job. It's just not the correct fit. And I mean, they have a huge membership, so I think they're doing okay. It's just, maybe I told them we would revisit them in a few years, or if something else comes up, or we see like there's some time that we can apply to them, then we will.
And I think part of it also was just having younger kids at the time. We all have a lot of pressures on us. We have work that we have to do, and then we have home that we've got to do, right? And sometimes with little kids and running a business and having all the time to the associations, when you add that to everything, a lot of the association events are in the evenings, nights, and they take away from family time, and a lot of people are busier. I think people are busier than they've ever been, but and part of that is because of all the computers and communication and stuff. It never ends. So
Mhm.
we're just all very busy and we're all tapped out in time and energy, and adding another association is difficult. Even getting people to events used to be easier, and getting them to participate used to be easier, I feel like. And associations really struggle to fill board positions a lot of times. It's really it's just really difficult. I mean, it's been very difficult. I wouldn't mind, being on another board. It's been a while since I've been on a board, and that's something that, Melissa and I like to participate at that level. So,
Well, it's interesting. Oh, go ahead, Jamie.
I think something that's I take away from what we've talked about so far is that you both are very communicative, which is great. I don't think this is a norm for a lot of people in our society. Like you said, everybody's very busy. They're going a million different ways, right? So I commend you for communicating to that association that you are no longer going to be a part of it. I think a lot of times that's not the case. And I think people are like, why are we losing these members or whatnot? It would be interesting to do a communication survey, Kelly. Maybe not for all of our clients, but just
Yeah.
some to see. I know we've asked the question in surveys before, but I really think this is something that a lot of clients are interested in, or leadership roles are more interested in hearing, how people want to be communicated with.
Well, and to Melissa's point, it makes sense to call them rather than sending a survey and say, hey, how do you
Sure.
like to do this? Like, how do we, and keep memory? And that's the challenging part. You all know this. I mean, when you have like, we'll pick on Dallas, 350 members, knowing each of their styles and then making sure when you get a new member in, right? Because it's my nightmare that you guys would join something that I was a part of and you're like, man, I'm not getting any benefit of this. So like, how do you get the new people involved? Like, how do you introduce them? I take breakups very personally. It makes me very sad anytime we
I
lose.
couldn't do an executive director job. I actually, when I first came onto the construction industry, I was looking for that role, or I was like, that's a great role. And then one of our executive directors that I work closely with, I actually told her, I'm like, how do you deal with this? Because some people can be really mean, some people are very good, but it's like, I take it personally. Like, you don't want to come back to me. You don't want to come back to my association, you know? So maybe like when you onboard a renewal, is you have that conversation or even that question there is, would you like a phone call every quarter, or would you like to be followed up on events that you already sponsored or, something, but we all know how many people sometimes answer emails or different things.
Yeah.
But like I said too, you run a lot of numbers. So it could be like, okay, this top 20 have not, or members have not engaged in the last 4 months, 6 months.
Yeah.
Maybe that warrants a phone call or some way to reach those. And then sometimes you got to do the analysis and say, is this worth my time? Is it worth my effort? Okay, I've given them a few phone calls. They're not responding. Okay, let's move on to the next, And so, but it is a challenge.
and the role of text messaging is, has changed a little bit. I feel like text messaging is definitely more likely to get in touch with somebody or get a response out of somebody than an email or a phone call because, people say, well, I'll listen to my messages, well, when are you going to listen to your messages? When are you going to do that? And a text message, it pops right up, it's right there and it's something that they can think about and something that they can start writing a response and they don't have to immediately finish it. Where if they pick up the phone and make a phone call,
Yeah.
they don't have the time. They might be thinking about it in the meantime, but it's just not quite the same. And a text message is personal enough and tends to get a good response back, but you can't ask a survey of like 20 questions in a text message, right?
Yeah.
I do not like to receive unsolicited text
So
messages.
this is
See,
the,
that's
I
the
was
thing. It
gonna
depends
say,
on your
If
age, your
they're
yeah, the
generation.
40
but
and under.
if they're from your association, kind of thing, or somebody then it may be
Yeah.
different.
And he's like, even then, no, I don't like to get text
No, I
messages.
mean, I wouldn't be
Stop. No, just kidding.
Yeah, I'm like, stop to end, please.
Yeah.
Just
I
send
got
that
in
back to
trouble
a
for one
random
of those
person.
because I thought it was to stop, like the generic ones, you hit stop, and it was actually a lady nearby that owns a boutique that I love her stuff. I've been shopping with it, and I was actually sick with, I think, COVID or something a few years ago, and I wrote stop because I thought it was automated, and she wrote back, I'm so sorry. I'm all buggy, Melissa. And I try to explain it, but I swear, I think she doesn't, she has this when she sees me in public and I'm like, I promise, I told her the scenario. I was sick. I didn't. And I'm like, you just sometimes get those, but I think, like you said, it does take like the metrics, but using AI and other stuff nowadays that could do that for you, the big part of it and say, okay, these are tailored towards they like text messages, these like emails, and then just that little bulk of like 20 or so members that are crucial and that you feel are important, be like, okay, I'm going to make that phone call. I'm going to ask my board, some of the board to make that phone
Well,
call.
we haven't been I don't think we've been personalized as enough as what in the past is what because there were fewer options for
Yeah.
communication years ago, and as now it's more and more as people are like Instagram and all different types of
Yeah.
things that they have, Facebook and whatever. Some people prefer messaging in different ways. So the key is to support lots of different methods of communication and make
Yeah.
sure you understand what each person's love language is, I guess, or their communication
There we
language,
go.
right?
That's a
You
great
know,
analogy.
and so at some point you gotta build a profile of each member to know how do they like being communicated with? What kind of things do they like? Events, things like that. Rather than have to go out and send a survey all the time, if there was a way to capture over time the
Yeah.
preferences of your membership, you could actually ask that question of that database of information and say, who should I call for this? You know, or who should I talk to for this? And you would have that information. And now more than ever that technology is available.
How do we
Yes.
feel about snail mail communication? I think that's the only
That's
one
a
we
great
haven't
question.
touched on.
Yeah. We still have members that really like getting things in the mail. Like we're doing actually one of our clients in the North had asked us to do a mailing and we're like, all right, let's try it because I feel like it's split. Half of you
Mhm.
love it, half of you hate it.
It's actually probably a great idea because nobody's doing it anymore.
Right.
And I at least my home mail. Felix gets all the work mail, but he'll bring me everything that's to us that goes into the work mail, and I read it. You know, and when things come in my mail, I go out to my mailbox and I throw away all the fluff. But I keep the the CFMA publication and I read through it. And
Bathroom reading material. No, I'm
yeah,
kidding.
We're keeping that in.
it,
Inspiration of every association.
sits on our counter for probably a week, as we may look through it from time to time, and then maybe it'll go into the recycle. But there is a period of time where, we do look at it. We do see what's there, and it is nice. We get some of our sureties send out a little quarterly. Here's how we're
Like a
doing.
dashboard.
Yeah, it's like a state of the surety. Here's how much fun your surety is having, and here's your production for the quarter and for the year and
But
stuff.
you gotta remember costs associated with that time and different things. So it like you said, you could try it like as a campaign for something or different
Yeah.
things, but getting all your membership or all your communication through mail might not be the
Well,
best
don't
option,
don't
but
do it don't do it in the middle of the primary season or the
yeah.
because it'll
Oh
just
my
get
goodness.
lost in all the stuff they're getting from the candidates or whatever, so
Well, it's so interesting because we've tested with a few chapters. Dallas, of course, is one of them because y'all know I always pick on Dallas. So
Mhm.
we've tested
'Cause we're the good.
running all these analytics of who's participating. Here's our top 30 people that go to events. Here's the bottom 30 people that we never hear from. We don't think they're opening emails. And it's interesting because some boards, I can give that to Dallas and they appreciate it, but sometimes it's overload of information, right? If you're on a board, you're like, just do your job and fix the 30 that are at the bottom
yeah.
and let me know about the 30 at the top. So it's kind of a fine balance on our boards as to who wants to see what. But I feel
It's
like we're generating more information now than probably boards can handle just with all of the technology we're using. But I'd rather you have too much than too little, right? I'd
yeah,
rather
and it
have a
really
better indication.
yeah, and it really comes down to what type of association it is from a perspective of your executive director services that you're offering
Yeah.
for an association. Some associations are very volunteer driven, and so that information needs to go to the volunteers and they need to act on it. Some associations are very much a team, an executive director with an entire team, a president of the association. You've got this whole group of people that run the association, and it's a very big team. They handle all that. So it really comes down to the type of association that you're running. And we belong to associations that live in both of those worlds, especially when you get to the national level, then you're almost guaranteed to have a staff
Yeah.
of people. And then at the local levels, it may be volunteer or there may be a staff there as well. But the need for a staff, I believe, the need for a staff is less today than it used to be. And I really believe volunteer-led organizations where the volunteers are doing the work, members are doing the work, are the best associations. I really believe
Because
that.
they believe in the goal, the bylaws, they believe in the organization, they believe in the craft.
The
They're
mission,
gonna put
Same.
yeah, they're going to
But
be there.
but I know, I mean, there's a place for both of them. But the ideal situation, if you're in an association, if you're on the board of an association, your dream for your association is that there would be so much participation that the association would live by its members' contributions, right? That would be the ultimate goal of any association. So much participation that
Yeah.
the members themselves generate everything that's needed for the association to survive and grow.
So, a question for that is what, in your opinion, what do you want to see? Like, what would your top 3 associations that you're a part of be doing that you're like, I can't miss anything that they're doing because it is the best? So, what kind of
How's that
ideas
look?
could we share with other associations?
I think it has to be a good combination of educational, networking. A lot of times we have events and it's that event and then everybody disperses or
Mhm. Yeah.
they're, like golf tournaments. Honestly, we can't get owners a lot of times at the golf tournaments because they last so long. And so a lot of times you're just focused on your team, which is great, but there's only 4 of you. So sometimes by the end, if it takes 6 hours, everybody just disperses. Sometimes they don't even stay for dinner or they don't stay because it's such a long day. And so, where you have these events that it does have, I think, maybe an educational component, but there's that time for networking because I got that a lot on my last board and at the association monthly meetings is like, we come here, we listen to the speaker, we kind of eat during the speaker, and then everyone is gone. And we don't have like some time just to network or just to, and that's every month. So then you have other associations once a month. And then, so where is that networking component? So that could come in the evening or it could come in another time. And they're just like, I think, like I said, it's building those relationships, that foundation. Like if you feel comfortable, people, you feel like they have a lot of credibility, that association, you're going to show up. If you feel
100%.
like I can gain something from this, and sometimes it's just like, oh, I met so and so who knows so and so. So I'm going to make sure I go next week or next month because they're going to be there. But it's just allotting for that time to have a little bit of interaction, without having the speaker and then you're gone or you're eating and having a speaker. But,
Well, yeah, and things have to move along, have to move along in an efficient manner in the meetings. We've all been in events and meetings where things don't move along. A prime example of that is a golf tournament the last 7 hours before from the time you walk on the course to the time that you're off. And then, who knows if you can even be there for dinner. People are busy, things have to move along. But there were so many things that Melissa said and what she said, so many parts to that you could unpack as far as what was necessary to be successful. The networking component is huge. And when we see, when we go to events, I do try hard to introduce people to other people. One of my goals always is to make introductions between people if possible and meet new people if I can. But I feel like not enough people do that. A lot of times, and I'm guilty of it sometimes, is getting stuck talking to one person for
Yeah.
20 minutes. And it's great. Sometimes it's good to catch up, but maybe we should catch up somewhere else and we should take more time to meet new people and make introductions instead. So for board members, especially, board members and committee members, they need to be very, very aware of that.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things that they need to do, especially membership committee and board members. They need to be very aware of that and work very hard to help people meet each other and make connections within the
if there's a
association,
new member, have them
especially
be
new
with a
members.
board member and have
Mhm.
them introduced to a certain, like say you got to help this person meet at least one other person at this next meeting or something. It's taking care of your existing members, long-term members, but also retaining the new ones that just came aboard. And some of that looks differently, but a lot of it is just that personal touch. Like, hey, I'm glad
Yeah.
you're at the meeting or, following up with an email or something.
I
So do
have an
you
idea, sorry,
Oh,
an
no, go for it.
idea and then a question.
Okay.
So going back to this networking thing, because I definitely think the diverse programming is huge. You can't just do networking all year and expect your members to see value in that unless it's a party city. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think something that could be fun is like a speed networking,
Mhm.
right? Like everybody has to set a timer. Some people don't like those.
You didn't know this, Eric. We didn't talk about this before. So Eric is developing basically a speed dating app. I call it speed dating is not the word. An app where you can do quickly
Speed
networking. It's
networking
really
app.
cool.
Speed
Yeah.
networking. Yeah.
I
Well,
think that's a great idea. I mean, I'm a yapper and I will get stuck next to somebody because I want to yap to them. And I would like to think that my social, like I can pick them on social cues and I know when somebody's done, but not a lot of people are able to do that. So I think that's a great idea. I think that's something that we should try to pitch to clients a little bit more because I think something I've heard a lot from newer association members, we've been doing a lot of surveys post events, have been I didn't know anybody there. I wish there was more time to network. I wish, somebody would have acknowledged me, all of those things. So I think that's a great idea. I love the app. I want to see it when it's ready. Second, when we
Yeah,
go,
I mean, I've gone to a couple speed networking events with an all ladies construction event, and I always think that's a success. Now we're doing some in another association, in a little bit different manner, but it still works. But I think
yeah,
those do work, but everyone's going to have some fear. Some will be like, oh my God, that elevator speech, I can't handle it. But then I start thinking, okay, it's just a minute or it's just 30 seconds. So at
Mhm.
least it gives that little brief touch of who you are. And sometimes it's even throwing something in there funny, some kind of question that knocks you off, but it's not like construction related or like what animal would you like to be? And so then after that, you're always remember that person at the next event or different things. So I think you got to be creative is I think boils down to is yes, you have to have a combination of events. You got to be aware of people's time. And also like I'm learning at my tender age of almost being 50 is that you can't make everybody happy. You want to do what the majority or kind of, um, cohesiveness there, but, just try your best. But I think if you're trying your best, you're passionate about what you're doing, the people will come.
right.
the one thing that, we didn't quite touch on, I mean, there's really two different types of associations. Besides just the kind of like volunteer driven versus a staff driven association, there's also the individual membership type versus company membership type. And there is a big difference in those two. And one of the things about a company membership type of association is that, and we see this in some of our associations, they become a finding your next job association instead of,
Interesting.
and companies don't want to send their employees to
Yeah.
an association where, basically it's a, job hunt, for,
Your people are going to get poached.
yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And so some associations struggle with that more than others, depending on the industry, especially if it's very specialized industry as opposed to a
Yeah.
very generic association. If it's an individual membership, obviously the person's free to do whatever they want. It's an individual membership, right? If they want to search for a new job there, they can search for a new job there. Companies could go potentially advertise there for more, try to find new employees, whatever. But when you're talking about associations that are companies, you want to know that when you send your employees, they're going to get the things of education. They're going to have the networking, but it's going to be networking in a way where they can grow their book of business or increase
Yeah.
their clientele. And you don't want them going for the purpose of finding a new job. Obviously, if you have a poor culture in your company, number one, you're probably not sending a whole bunch of your people to association events because companies with poor cultures tend to not participate, right?
That's true.
That is true. So on the other side of things, that if you have a strong culture, you should trust that your culture is going to keep your people and not be worried about necessarily sending them to various events. But in some
And as a
industries,
company, you want to know if they're spending an hour and a half or so at this event that they're gaining some knowledge or some networking,
that
something
there's value in it. And, I worry every time I send to Melissa to one of these places that she's going to find a new job. So
you never know.
Well, thank y'all so much for spending time with us today. Jamie normally asks one crazy question at the end, just so you know, kind of like, what's your spirit animal? This is her favorite part of our podcast. So, Jamie,
Well, we have two guests, so I have two questions. This means everybody has to answer each question, though. So I was going to ask this question first, but then Melissa brought something up, so I have a second question.
no,
First question, it's not stressful. I've done way worse. These are easy peasy. It's springtime now. I'm in South Carolina. I'm sure it's very similar weather-wise. You guys might be a little bit hotter in Texas. What's your favorite springtime activity?
Walking, like just taking a walk.
yeah,
Oh,
I mean, it definitely anything that doesn't involve allergies. That's
Okay.
for sure. Because I'll tell you what, here everything turns yellow. I mean, like you
We wash
wash,
the car and it's
yeah, you wash the car and you turn around and it's yellow again, and you're like, wait a minute, I just
Yeah,
washed
so
it.
bad.
I could put that in one of those little videos, and it's like you wash it, it's all shiny. You put your stuff away, you turn back, and it's covered again with everything. But no, we love being outdoors, and golf is something that Melissa really loves, and so we try to get golf in, not as much as we wish we could. Travel, we have a lot of travel that we've been doing in the spring, and it's been nice. But really, I love seeing the new growth as everything comes back alive. It's just really nice to see that green again. And unfortunately, here in Texas, it seems to be getting hotter and hotter all the time. I mean, it was burning hot yesterday as we were out in an association event playing pickleball. So there's a lot of fun activities going on in the spring, and so we love participating in a lot of activities that are going on.
Yeah, you have a golf tournament on Monday, don't you?
We
Yeah, we sure
do.
do.
Big one. We're gonna have hecklers for the first time on the course, so I'm like kind of scared. They said they can be kind of mean, so I was like, oh no.
I think for a long time, I kind of said that would kind of be fun to have a heckler section, a hole like where everybody can yell and whatever, and they can have like a party
Do you
hole at the
sell
golf
that as a
course.
sponsorship?
Yeah.
So yeah, for a long time, I've thought that would be kind of funny just watching
Just wait, they're gonna pick on you, and
like
then you're
out at
gonna be like, dang it.
out at the Colonial or out at Waste Management or some of these where they have those
These
holes
are
like that.
professional
So
hecklers, so we
profe-
shall
did
see.
they hire professional
They
hecklers?
did.
Sorry, I
Curious
love
what
my job, but how do I get that job?
I was gonna say, I'm
Yeah.
curious the going rate of a professional
Mhm.
heckler. Like,
It's
how are
pretty
you
expensive.
branding that?
It
I do
is.
not know, but I bet they could, hire some comedians or something to get out there and really get into people
That's
as
pretty
they,
much what they
yeah.
are. But I'm like, how do they just deduce like what they're gonna say by just seeing you walk out to the hole and stuff? And that I can see how that can be mean. So I'm like,
Believe
oh
me, these
god.
comedians, that's what they do all day long, is the thoughts just never stop probably.
I am obsessed. Will you get their business cards? I
I
want to
know.
know more. Can I zoom in and become a Zoom heckler?
Yes, I'm like, oh my gosh. So
All
yeah.
right, Kelly, let's hear your favorite spring activity.
No, I mean, we spend a lot of time outside. We walk a lot. I think I like spring sports. I have a kiddo playing softball, and that is so much fun. It's so much
Mhm.
fun to watch her play and have fun. I like spring sports better than fall sports.
Mine's patio drinks.
Patio
Yeah.
drinks. Hey,
That's it.
you can't
Cocktail
knock
hours.
that. That's
Yep. A fun little springy cocktail on a patio. Bonus if there's sun and shade.
do
Exactly.
you have mosquitoes?
Too bad here.
I want to move
In my
there then.
backyard,
They
yes.
eat us up here. They eat us up, and it's Texas, so they're like, they fly in and they
And
drink
they're
after.
huge.
Right. All right, you ready for the second question? I
Okay.
already know
Sure.
both of you will not answer with this just by what you just said. So we were talking about speed networking and throwing people off their game. So if you were an animal, what would you be? You don't have time to think. You just have to go.
Lion.
I'd be a bird,
No
a
mosquitoes.
big one,
I knew it.
so
knew
I
it.
can fly all over the place. I want to explore and see everything.
Love it. Kelly?
My dog.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Probably got it better than anybody, right?
I toggle between one of my dogs or my cat, and I'm gonna go with cat because he is in his own little world right now. Like, he was hunting me this morning. I didn't realize it until we got a couple attacks in, but he was hiding behind things. I would walk out and he would just like, "Ah, I'm here." And he looked like he was having a great time doing it. So I think that'd be fun. But I would also want to go outside. He's in prison all the time. He doesn't go outside. So
That's no fun.
it's rough.
Well,
Those are my
thank
questions.
y'all so very much for joining us today and for your time.
Thank you
For
for having
sure.
us. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. It
We
was
had a
a
good
huge
time.
compliment. So thank you.